I'm here with
Jameson McGrath.
who is a former member of the Founders Club, and I want to see you run your own real estate company. I don't think that that's right, but
Yeah, we're in a event company downtown in Charleston. We originally started off doing a lot of college events and with the main goal of kind of untying from that societal structure that a lot of college campuses have where people feel inclined to join fraternities and sororities. Even if they know it may not really be what they want to do. So yeah, we strive to provide an outlet for college kids that may not want to join those structured organizations, but still want to go out and enjoy a concert and enjoy plenty of different events from vintage markets and pop ups all over the city.
did you kind of get into being an entrepreneur? Is it starting at a young age and then doing it in college and then realizing there's a niche for it, or is it just college?
I think from a young age, I think that from a lot of founders that I've spoken to as well, you kind of feel that fire and that creativity. And I think I worked as a soccer referee or football referee when I was really young. And I remember working for all these hours and looking at it and being like, damn, it would be a lot cooler to actually run the league.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of where I started off. And ever since then, everything I've done has kind of just been down that alley from t-shirt company to moving down the line. And once I stepped into the hospitality industry, I think I really just felt my ability to kind of get creative with situations, which I think works really well for what I'm doing.
How did you do it from high school into college?
So in the COVID times, there was,
The fun times.
yeah, during, I grew up in Philadelphia, and obviously there was a lot of underground events during the COVID era. I think I had ran into someone, an upcoming artist, that just needed rides to the city, so I started driving around the studio, and obviously getting into an environment like that, you have all different people. You have your artists, your producers, your actual event specialists, and then your agents and managers.
And then like the labels too.
Yeah, and seeing them all kind of work, I kind of knew I was getting more interested in the industry, and it does definitely sound super fun. So when I came here, I became a social chair of my fraternity. Yeah, I was planning a ton of events, and then I kind of realized that we had power outside of the fraternity, and we could definitely start developing a lot of capital. It all started with some of the charity events I had done for the fraternity that benefited different causes, like the Ben Wells Foundation, who was a College of Charleston student that passed away, set our fraternity, and we did very well helping them raise awareness and a lot of money for charity. And then recently, this past weekend, the fraternities kept that same mindset, and they were able to do pretty well for another fraternity member that we had recently lost. And I think that charitable contribution really just allowed me to harness my creativity because you're getting that you want the best results and it's not for yourself. And I think that's what ultimately led me to when I started doing the for-profit events, unleash this new level of creativity. And really, I also had just carried through the operations for so long that I was ready to run a professional
Yeah.
event.
So with you creating your company, is it from experience or is it just a matter of seeing people who aren't really included with the frat or the sorority or the Greek life?
Yeah, I think I've always been crazy outgoing, and I've never really had a challenge meeting friends or anything. But I think I do remember seeing so many people just look unhappy my freshman year, and there's a statistic that the school was able to come up with all the stuff that one out of every five College of Charleston freshmen won't continue into their sophomore year, which I think is very telling to how this campus feels. And I always like to compare it to New York, if you ever heard about that scene. Like a lot of, it's such an ongoing city. There's always things to do that if you don't have anything to do, you just feel left out, and
And you feel bored.
yeah, you feel bored, and it's a rabbit hole because people then just get locked in this circle where now, like, giving these people the opportunity, and it's honestly very one of the most rewarding things I think for me is when I stand out front. I always like to stand out front at the beginning of events and show face and make sure everything's working well. But I see a lot of people that come alone, or they come in alone, or they come with one or two people, and it's like they always have the opportunity to then leave with more than they
Bunch of
came in
people.
with, which is definitely something that's very rewarding.
What happens in concerts too? Because I've been to like two or three big
Mhm.
concerts, but not what we have here in
Mhm.
Charleston where it's small.
Yeah, I think the concerts here are much. I like to run them much different. Where like my show this past Friday, we had a longer extension time in the beginning, where it's very much just people all talking, and it's like lower house music, and then the band comes on, and everyone's focus is there. And when you put on that best show, I think it leaves, especially in a college market, because everyone kind of knows each other down here and has you've seen their face or whatever.
Yeah.
So now that you see someone in your class and you see them at the show, you're like, oh, like how you doing? And one thing leads to another, and I think it's very, very rewarding. And I think that's when I ultimately would say I'm achieving my goal is when we can see a lot of people just connecting and treating that crowd as almost one big unit, which I like.
So is it a matter of continuing the friendship then from college into the working world or
Yeah, I think
post grad?
yeah, we do a lot of networking stuff too for people in our industry. Is the upstairs at Music Farm this past weekend we had a lot of big guys coming in from Nashville to kind of just connect with the band and that team. And I think that there's no better band to work with than Congress the band, and they have a new manager, Bo Tripp, who's the best. I mean, he just makes our job so easy, and I think that that's one big thing that Congress also values is they create that kind of community because they're not one of those massive bands right now. You kind of foster this fan group that you'll see at every show, and they love. It's funny. Like I was talking to one of the guitarists, and somebody had, I guess, asked him for an autograph. Somebody like for me.
Not yet. You
It's
gotta
funny.
wait.
Yeah, it's funny though, but that's definitely what puts a smile on our face. I have a partner as well that's up in New York doing a lot of events up there, and I think that he sees a lot of similarities between this market and that market.
Isn't there another band too besides Congress that's based in Charleston?
Well, they have there's a massive agency called talent agency called Atlas, and Atlas, so like you'll reach out to them for bookings, and they have the Stews, they have a lot of big guys, Winya, and some of my favorites, Easy Honey's another local one that's really good.
So what's in the works for the band?
Yeah, they're so the band just announced Windjam are ready to go, and I think they'll have looking to do a tour and another album coming out, which their first song is rushing it out the door, and
And then their other one too, their second single.
they
Well, I mean, is it do a gig until it builds up and gets enough momentum and repertoire to where it's kind of a commercial band, or what is kind of the plans?
I think one thing that's interesting for a lot, I think something that a lot of people don't realize is it's not always about how many gigs you're getting. It's this there's this guy Jake Shore who's a DJ we also had come in, and he's blowing up recently, and something that he always says is like, just because I played 200 shows last year doesn't mean I should go play 300 this year. I mean, it's really looking at those 200, what had the best crowd reaction, what had the most money, what was the best thing for my career, and then focusing on only doing those shows and cutting out all of the in between and the fluff, and really just going every time I go out there, I am putting on the persona that I am John Summit. And I think it's the same thing with bands as well. And it's where you start looking to ultimately increase your booking fees when you're able to start putting on those shows. And if you're able to pretty much make the promoter's job, he doesn't have to do any
Yeah,
paid ads or anything, and we can sell out a whole venue. Then he's going to be looking to do a bigger venue the next time. And he's going to be looking to pay you more. And I think that's the development that trends out. But ultimately, what's most important is how much fun the crowd has.
yeah.
The crowd is the boss.
The crowd is the energy of the audience.
And they're really the boss at the end of the day. Like, I mean, the club owner is the real boss, but at the end of the day, if he doesn't get a crowd, he's still answering to them for all his actions and what he chooses to do. So ultimately, making your boss within the crowd happy is the way to go.
How did it kind of form, I guess,
But
the band?
so I had it's a funny story actually. I had originally they were called College Laundry. One of the guys, Daniel Guy. I booked my first show ever at a fraternity house, and I think I paid him like $350. And they came and played one of our formals or something, and then he went into a band then called Flatspell, which I did a ton of shows with them. We did one that was like 800 people. And then eventually they led into Congress with William, Toss, Pett, and all those guys. And I mean, they just had that vibe to them. Like they really do well. I love it.
So do you work on the management side, or what is kind of your role?
No, so I was the promoter, but I So technically, I was just like promoting the show. It was private entity, but I'm looking to help them out with some of their venue challenges and things like that down the line when it comes to planning tours and just trying to really grow with the band. I think I'm a strong believer in what they do, and I just love to be there to help them as much as I can.
So are they gonna hopefully take off speed? Like
So
pick up speed
that's
and
what we're thinking, and I mean, I think it's noteworthy that they just sold out the Music Farm, which is the largest cap down here, pretty much that we do in this market. And now they're taking on Windjammer, which I think is 1,300 capacity. I think the shows they've been getting, they went and played a sponsored event for one of Kylie Jenner's products. Like they've been doing a lot of
jeez.
cool things that I think not many other people are doing, and they're also fighting for themselves. They don't have an agent yet, and being able to get these bookings and do these cool shows. They're playing Clemson Fest, and I think being able to do all that without an agent speaks a lot towards the band and speaks a lot to Bo Tripp and how well he's been taking this transition.
So what have what have you learned from high school into college? I think not just as a person, but also as an entrepreneur as
Mhm.
well.
I think, as I said earlier, like I was always very outgoing, and I think that my parents have one rule, not rule technically, but they're like, you're not going to college in Pennsylvania. Like, you're not going to be stopping by home when things get tough and things like that. And I think I visited like 30 schools before coming to Charleston, and this was the last one I visited. And I kind of stepped here and I was like, oh, I like it down here. I thought it was a great time, and I didn't know anyone really. I had one friend that I later found out was coming, but I think that idea of a fresh restart, both in business and both in just your personal life, are huge for me. And I think the personal development that comes along with those challenges of I always knew how to cook and I know how to clean my room and I know how to sleep. But
To
it's the things where like shit, when I get sick, I have to go take
the
care of
doctor.
myself and I have to go take myself to the dentist. I have to do all these things and just that on top of living alone is definitely a huge change. And I think that that idea of getting thrown in the deep end is massive. And both in business too, like one of the best pieces of advice I ever got was when you're starting a business, 100 days of thinking is never going to be one day of doing. So I take that in all aspects of my life. If I have stuff to get done, I'm not going to just write down a to-do list
No.
and let it sit. Like I need to go before I even write anything down, what's one easy thing I can go bang out? I think that's really allowed me to handle this transition to not having a partner down here, and then also my transition into life as quote unquote adult, which I think has been helpful and definitely that time management aspect of it. Like you got it, you don't have anyone on your ass, and like
No.
I'm sure you've also felt that dynamic change of like I'm in control of my own life at this point, which is
That's a little scary.
it's scary. It's a great feeling, but it's definitely scary. And somebody actually just asked me this question the other day. They're like, "What is more fun, being like a kid or being an adult?" And at first, I was like, "Being a
Being a
kid
kid, obviously.
is so great," but I'm like, the freedoms of being an adult are also amazing. And I think that I really enjoyed being able to go into meetings. And when I was freshman, sophomore, I used to think like, "Oh, they're gonna think I'm so young, I'm an idiot," but I realize now, like, I just gotta put my foot in the sand and I've developed my skills and I've gotten the reputation to where I am good business. So I need to come in on a level head and not let them look down at all. And I think that's what happens to a lot of these college entrepreneurs that are doing face to face deals is like they just feel silenced, but staying on that level playing field is where I've kind of taken myself in this past year of I need to just do what's best for my company and me, and it doesn't matter what they think. If they don't want to land on the deal that we need, then we go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Some of the main questions I always get asked are like, "What next?" That's always what I'm thinking is like when it comes to that what next aspect. I don't think I see myself necessarily staying in what I'm doing now and just trying to grow it. Like I think that more of a lateral transition is something that I'm looking for. And I think that that's a tough decision for everyone.
It
Like
is.
I look around now as we have what a month and a half left of school
It's
or whatever. I'm like not
yeah, five
many
and a half weeks.
yeah, not many people know what they're doing, which is crazy. I'm like, and it's nice to look around and be like, all right, we can all take a deep breath. There's a lot of us that have no idea, and I think I am in a similar situation. I have different options, but I think that as we talked about earlier with going from senior in high school or freshman to college, just getting thrown in the deep end. I this past summer worked in real estate for the entire summer doing appointment setting and cold calling. Really just allowed myself to get thrown in the deep end, and I think that that wasn't my favorite thing in the world, but I want to do the same thing in different industries. Just throw myself in head first, and that's where I learned to grow the most. And I think that that's how we were able to make this company successful. Is just that fake it till you make it. Like they'll people ask me things still. Like, can you send over? Somebody sent me a. Like, can you send me over the ROS? I'm like, the hell does that mean? I'm like trying to figure it out. And eventually I had to ask for help from some other venue, but just when run up show, like send me a schedule, which I already had made. I'm like,
Oh,
they just had a different word for it.
they just came up with the acronym.
Yeah, definitely.
Have you had any other like ideas besides the one that you actually decided to pursue, meaning of real estate or
Yeah,
this versus
I've been
that?
looking into really just like I guess harnessing the skills of what makes an event company good, and I think a lot of it's marketing. And I look around at a lot of bars, restaurants, clubs, and I'm like, oh my God, the marketing is just atrocious. And it's just it's simple. Like, it's not even like the most complicated things. It's the simple part of like, all right, those pictures don't look good. Like they're
Yeah.
not visually appealing. You don't need to be a genius to tell anyone that, but I think that knowing the difference and how I wanted my brand to come out and my brand to look and like really using those values, like I think the best brands always you can pretty much tell their values. Patagonia, you can tell they
North Face.
North Face, like exactly. And I think for a lot of these companies, those values don't stick out, especially in a little market like Charleston. I think the turnover rate on so many of these commercial properties on King Street is kind of crazy to me. I'm like, it's the most high traffic street in South Carolina, and the turnover rate is so high, and it just doesn't make any sense.
And yet you look at some of the buildings that are they're vacant. Either that or the windows are boarded up and you go, what's
Yeah.
the story? We're a popular city. We don't have that need or that traffic, so
Hmm.
we go, why? We're supposed to be a big tourist city that is constantly on its feet
Hmm.
and everything else all the time 24/7, but yet we have vacancy and it's like, come on.
And I think like, yeah, it's expensive down here, but I mean, from King Street, King and Calhoun to whatever the next street, George is, I counted like, I was walking over, I counted like 10 at least that are all just vacant. I'm like, I get everything's expensive as hell, but no one can find anything to do there. I'm like, the sweater shop has been open for months and months. Like, how does the sweater store stay open, but we can't keep a cool bar or restaurant up there?
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's a lot of different reasons. Like, you have someone that calls that perfected hospitality. Like, you get a handshake on your way in and your way out. They remember faces. They're just the coolest staff. And I think, like, that's the epitome of how I want a hospitality company to look and how I wanted my company to look is remembering faces. Oh, we've done a deal before handshakes. Like really just connecting with everyone is the best way to make people feel welcome at these events. And I think there's some places where you go in, even if you don't get served right away, you should just be getting greeted right away. It's something simple. And that's why I love sitting outside of my events is I love being the first one to greet a lot of people. And I think that's the other thing people don't realize is like in a restaurant a host is like the most important.
100%.
And for my stuff, my ticket scanners are the most important. My security is like, I don't need them giving anyone a hard time.
No.
Be nice with it. If they buy a ticket, offer them a ticket. It's pretty simple, but
Or just give it at a discounted price so they don't feel as though they have to
yeah, exactly.
buy it at the full freight price. So have you going off of that point of hospitality, do you feel as though it's important to do it even at the end of the venue generally? Or is it kind of not as important?
I think, yeah, I think I should be doing it more. It's one thing I really thought about that I need to work on is leaving is when you want to catch they just had the best show ever. And I think it's tough for me because I'm doing all the closings, like I'm getting the bands paid, getting everything paid. But I know that my scanners normally do a good job of it. And I think that it's something I need to work on a lot. But I think probably the most important is people remember handshakes or give them stickers with your logo on it. Like, that brand awareness is everything because that's how they'll tell the difference between me and someone else. And I think that's where merch is so big. Have a band and a company having merch like that is it's the perfect way for them to remember you. And then they're walking on campus. What is UE? Oh, on-site events. I think it works well. I think High Tide does a very good job at the music festival. They do all these road to High Tide events, and you see a lot of people walking around with the merch, and they have Like they always have this big high tide poster where you take pictures in front of it, and you just see the brand so often. You're like,
What is that?
high tide, yeah.
No, I mean like if you look at the photo and you go, what is that? I've never seen it
Mhm.
before, and it makes you ask questions and go, what is that?
Yeah,
I've never seen it before.
which isn't they need 10,000 more people this year doing 2 day festival.
Good Lord.
So they had 20,000 total. It's a challenge down here. It's definitely not easy, but I think with their past successes, it should be able to work out. I'm praying for them and I'm helping them out as much as I can. But I think they got it handled. Edward over there is he'll crush it, and they just did a really cool event at the Moxie Hotel rooftop. They did one at the Peacock, and I think they'll keep it rolling and keep crushing on the way over to High Tide. I'm excited to see how it wraps up. They have some big names there this year.
Have you worked in another state besides Charleston and besides Philadelphia, or have those been the
No, my partner does events in New York and the Hamptons, so I stopped by a couple of those, but I didn't really have any leg in the game, I guess. But it's definitely interesting. I think that's the only way to expand in the college market is go get every college. And I know there's a couple companies that do something similar with booking for fraternities and sororities, but I don't know. I'm not I think the college market's a great place to learn for me, but I definitely want to move on to definitely the older markets. More money, they spend more money.
100%? I
There are
know they
less
do.
problems, everything.
It's already been established, so you already know what you're getting
Yeah,
and
definitely.
t-shirt fees and concert ticket fees.
Mhm.
Or do you want to work for a like an artist or whatever? I mean, besides what you're already doing, like if you
Mhm.
want to go for work for a well-established artist,
Yeah, I think they'd have to be we'd have to be good friends. It's the only way I'd do it is I mean, probably I don't know if you ever seen The Dirt or heard the stories about some of these people. Artists get once they turn into rock stars, they're impossible to deal with. And I do like that dynamic. I think a little bit creativity needed in some of these situations. I'd love to be able to focus my creativity around an event, one specific event, instead of having to go find a venue and get creative with venues. Charleston's a tough city. We don't have that many venues. If I was in New York,
it'd
much
be a
different
lot bigger.
story, but it's
Or
definitely
California would be different too.
yeah, definitely not very easy down here, and we do have to get really creative with the events we do. But yeah, I mean, I'd love to work on probably the venue side the most. Owning a venue, owning live music venue where I could just pick shows every week. But I'd want it to be lower tier. I don't think I'd want to do like a music farm. I think I'd want to do more of a not lower tier. That's the wrong word. But I want to be more of a windjammer type person where we do all of our stuff in house and get crushed. It's my favorite venue down here. It's on the beach. It's so nice.
Have you done a lot of those recently, or just it's been once in a while?
Yeah, we've been kind of slowing up a lot recently. Just kind of trying to make a lot of decisions on where we're headed and what we're doing. Been focused on that a lot, and then also just graduating. So I've been kind of swamped, but yeah, I think the summer will be cool. We'll definitely do some there. I work with a national brand called Boots and Beats. It's like country EDM. We sold out music from the other week, and we're looking to announce another one this week, next week, maybe. So
Do you actually know the band themselves, or is it just a matter of a mutual connection?
no, yeah, I almost never know the artist. The artist is always kind of, there's different ways to decide if an artist will do good in the market. I think that the concept is everything. A lot of the time, like Boots and Beats was country EDM. Oh, no matter who we brought in, that idea of country EDM was so new to people that they hopped on it. And we had an average age of like 29 in the crowd. It's a much older crowd. And it was a different marketing plan as well. It was a lot of paid ads and just data gen leading up to the announcement. So I didn't think we were going to get it sold out, but we ended up crushing the last week. And it was a very fun show. I mean, all of us had a blast. And I definitely think I'd like to try that out, some new venues down here.
What's able to get the most footing?
Thing is in,
As in, it gets people's attention and they want to come back for more.
I think the younger crowd, the college crowd, is all about who else is there. So that's really setting your crowd up with. That's bringing in like one fraternity, one sorority already, or that's bringing in the surf club, or that's bringing in like the vibe of what you want it to look like. I think for the older people, they just do whatever they want, and it's great because if you give them a good concept, they will come. And it's not really about going out to meet people and things like that as much as going to enjoy a show. which I think is something that I really enjoy because they appreciate the little production things. And production isn't cheap. Those lasers and everything. I mean,
Yeah.
it's thousands of dollars every time you use them, and I think people appreciate it way more when they're there for the show, not when they're there for just the event. I think there's a difference between a concert and an event. In my older crowds, I'd call it more concerty, and my younger crowds would say it's more event wise, which doesn't hurt. And they're both fun. I enjoy both of them. I think they're just very different.
Well, I think what I was trying to drive at is the audience that goes to a few shows and then kind of goes, okay, I know what it is and I'm not interested versus the crowd that actually stays by the band and goes, hey, we're a fan of it and we want to we're a fan of the music and we kind of want to support the band along their journey.
Yeah, I mean, we see a really high return rate from almost everyone. Doesn't matter age, gender, anything. I think lifetime spent has gotten better and better every year, and I think it's all about it's trying to limit your bad shows. Like when nobody's going to be there, you don't want them buying tickets. So we always cut that off and refund them or make them free. And I think it's just limiting how bad your shows are is everything. I mean, if you're never gonna have a million good shows. You're never gonna not have a bad show. But I think it's limiting that and really keeping momentum is everything. Keeping the ball rolling once you've done a great show is the way to do it.
So I know you talked about after college. What's you gonna do between now and whenever you graduate?
I think really just focus on graduating at this point. I think I'm in a good place to. I don't have any worries or anything, but I think just finishing strong is one big thing, and then yeah, I mean I've been just networking and networking and networking, going out to dinners, lunches, doing as much as I can to meet as many people because you never know who's going to be that life changing connection until
Till it happens.
yeah, till it happens. And I think that's what I've been focusing on the most is I have a lot of skills in operations and marketing, and I think it's two things that almost every business needs. So kind of figuring out what niche I want to be involved in and then just planting the seeds in that niche that I may be looking for something to do. What do you guys have available? And that's pretty much what I've been doing nonstop and still just ultimately deciding for myself where I would see myself and what I want to do is I did as much as I didn't enjoy cold calling, I do enjoy real estate and I think that there's a lot of different aspects that I haven't experienced yet. So I think that's probably the direction I'm headed. But everything can change on a dime. I just will throw my head. I will go face first in whatever I do. Like I will go as hard as I can until I realize there's something better out there.
Um, shoot, I got stopped. Now, is that just with anything, like with connections, like building it, or just
Yeah, I think networking, biggest thing I think is you can't treat it ever as transactional. Like you literally just got to go into it to have a conversation. And there's a special type of person that is able to speak freely about their creativity. And me and these guys, Jason Lang and Dave Lang, we always have open conversations about different ideas and you think of something, we work together on it. But I think a lot of the time that's not the case. You're just meeting them to meet them, and then you eventually get to the point where you're like, hey, I want to work with you. I want this opportunity. Let me prove you something. And it's just keeping your track record clean and never treating any of these things as transactional. I always like to treat it as what can I offer you?
yeah?
What can I bring you? I would help you right now. And it works pretty well.
I think the question that I was gonna ask and that I forgot it was, have you ever offered up your skill set, meaning for a fee?
Like,
Like saying, hey, I'm good at X, Y, and Z. You can pay me $50 an hour or 25 to do
yeah,
it.
I don't ever like to put a number on an hourly. I think it just because at the end of the day, if I give a complicated math problem to a Harvard grad and fifth grader, I mean, you pay one of them hourly,
The other one doesn't
and what
really
are they
know.
getting for their $400,000 in lessons that they've learned?
Yeah.
And I think I always like to get paid based on completion and the job you do, and I think yeah, I mean, we've contracted with some festivals, we've contracted with some other companies and data and things like that. And I think I've also just offered up like, it's like just consulting stuff, little amounts. I normally like to just give them away for like, what you give, you get kind of deal. I mean, if I need anything in the future. I know he got me, so kind of just offering opinions. And it's not really any right or wrong in this industry. It's more just opinions and what people see from different perspectives, I guess.
Is there certain weaknesses or things that you're not good at that you're like that you want to improve on?
Yeah, definitely constantly want to be improving time management and then also just staying consistent. I definitely do really well in periods of time and consistency, but I think I definitely fall off the bus a little bit, especially like right after a show. I just want to sit back and I shouldn't. I mean, you never ever should sit back once you get your first win. I mean, momentum is everything. You get your second win. Best time to get your third win is after your second win, and I think that's something that I need to go back to a little bit better is just rolling with the momentum, keeping it moving, because then you can't really just do well and then stop. Like you
Yeah.
need to just keep pushing. And that's why it's nice having a partner. I think that's what's been my biggest challenge this year, not having a partner down here is just kind of you got to hold yourself accountable in every aspect of life, business, and everything, which is definitely a challenge.
Especially also making sure that things are going with the way that you want them
Hmm.
and the way that other people see them.
Yeah, definitely.
So you don't split opinions or
Yeah, it's a hard thing to connect. That point you just made of how I see things versus how other people see things is. I mean, that's a challenge for everybody in life. It's definitely a difficulty, and especially like I never really have gotten great feedback from surveys. Like it's just always scattered and it's not really that meaningful feedback. I think I still am working on finding a way to get to that point where I can see what other people are thinking. I think the best thing way I've always told is just the crowd reaction and the length they stay at a show. If they're staying till the very end, then I know he did a good job. But
yeah.
if they're leaving an hour and a half early, I know make it shorter, more production, take a different price, get a different group in there, things like that. And it's very little things I've learned over the years that I think have helped a lot.
Has that kind of helped you to develop how you see things, not just in business but also with people your age or
Yeah, I think it's a tough role there because I think I in sales I think something I learned was the most important part about sales is your mentality. You're just making little tweaks to your mentality every single time. It's oh I got 99 no's. I must be closer than
but
I
a
was
1% yes.
one yes. I think it's a challenge in that mentality piece. Every aspect of it is just getting out of bed early in the morning, going hitting the phones and making stuff happen. I think that mentality in everything has just been what I strive to work on. Because I mean, I'm not sitting here working on my math skills or practicing like my marketing. It's I want to practice through how I play, and I guess me grinding it out is the way to go.
And does that seem to help just with whether it's schoolwork or just as a
Early
whole?
mornings have been my goal because then you can get all your stuff done by 1:30, and then you still have 8 hours left in the day.
But you don't wanna go, okay, I don't have work to do and then
Mhm.
you slack off and
Yeah,
watch Netflix for 8 hours.
yeah, definitely. I'm not a TV guy at all, which I thank God. Or video games. I just yeah, my hobbies are all active. Like if I watch TV, I'll just pass out.
Or scrolling.
Yeah, I need to fix that. But I'm like, I am trying to understand social media to the best of my ability while also not getting caught up in it, which is a
It's
challenge.
hard.
I gotta run here in a bit, fix my car, but
Like at 4 o'clock or what?
yeah, it works.
Okay. Alright, that was episode number 7 with Jameson. And the name of the podcast is called Young Entrepreneurs. Um, I just want to say that put a poll out on like last Thursday, so just fill it out and see what the options are and commentary and just give me a review. And